All right, welcome back to the show. Sully, when you look at the situation, Rex Ryan, in the way he handled things in New York, do you see him as, first of all, is he going to change now that he's in Buffalo? And what about some of the players that he had there?
He had a lot of guys on the edge there, and that was part of their persona. They were the team to hate, and when they were winning, it was great. And then suddenly when they started losing, even Rex toned it down. Remember those times where, suddenly Rex is mellow on the conference call?
Well, they shut him up, the ownership and
well, it happened before
Idzik.
it happened before Idzik came to town. But there's a point where if you don't win, it's not as charming. I just think it's great to be on the edge. This is pro football, be the bully, but still you need to control and just make sure there's a discipline that's necessary in football too. And I know Rex wants that, but it can't be easy to meld the two, to have all these guys with shady character and then to have a team marching together and doing everything that's right. I guess when you're winning, it's fine. I just worry if you get some guys, and McCoy kind of striking me that way. He's a me guy. If they started losing and don't get their numbers and don't get their carries, I could see things getting a little out of kilter in that locker room.
Well, when I talked to some of the guys from Philly that covered him there with the Eagles, the message coming back from Philadelphia, from people that I know there, was that he is a great guy in the locker room. He will give his all on the field, that he's beat up physically, and he may not hit the holes. So you're going to like him. That's the strange thing about this, is that you're going to really, really like him as a person. And, when I was going for long walks in the morning, which about, I don't need to get into all this, but I would go for long walks in the morning, and I would listen to WIP in Philadelphia, the radio show, and McCoy had a show every week. And sometimes his mom would come on, and it was fantastic. He was intelligent, colorful. I thought he gave insight, and they loved him there. So to me, this is like, maybe it is residual from the trade, that he is upset still, that he was moved, and he thought that they had something special going on there in Philadelphia when Chip Kelly arrived, and that has since changed because, let's face it, when you look at Chip Kelly's moves, if you're a part of that organization, that's terrifying, because if that guy's wrong, you're sunk.
I guess it does show a little courage to say what he said. I imagine there are Eagles who agree with him and are cheering and saying, I'm glad he had the guts to say it. I just didn't think it was the time for it. Well, look, ultimately it's going to come down to what happens on the field. In an ESPN story that I read today, a former NFL executive said it was extremely stupid to extend his contract because he is in his 7th year at an age when running backs start to go downhill. The Bills are paying him $8 million a year, same as DeMarco Murray, by the way, the black player that Chip Kelly signed, because he's better than McCoy. He's got a lot to live up to. The same NFL executive in that story said he won't earn the money. So it's about what happens on the field. As I said, if he's gaining 120 yards a game and they're winning, everything will be just fine.
All right, well, they're going to have to, make sure that he is getting enough touches, as you say, which means somebody else isn't getting them. Now, I can't imagine that Fred Jackson, A, because he's a class act, and B, because this is about career preservation, I think, to a certain point. The fewer carries he gets and the longer he can hang on, then, it's going to extend his own career. He's not going to argue over this, I don't think, but he's a proud guy, too. So, and there's other players in that offense, receivers. You're going to have to get Sammy Watkins his touches. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with McCoy and how he reacts if it doesn't go his way.
Yep, it's going to get really interesting playing some of these games against improving defensive lines when they're trying ground and pound. They put 8 in the box and they get stuffed. And then I wonder how long it's going to take to start talking about the quarterback, which is what happened.
It won't be long. You want to start talking about Patrick Kane?
I sure would. He just passed Gilbert Perreault last night, by the way, in career playoff points in the NHL.
He has been absolutely terrific in that series. And you know what, Sully? I wasn't sure how he was going to come back. You never know how a player is going to respond to an injury. That's a tough injury to take. It was a bad hit, a dirty hit, a nasty hit. And you just don't know, especially in that shoulder area, because you're getting banged around so much, how effective he's going to be. And when you look, I think he had 7 weeks off. To me, it almost looks like he had a 7-week break, and this guy's got more energy than anybody else in that playoff series. And he, more than any other player, ended it for the Wild in 4 games.
I gained a lot of respect from him in the Olympics last year when he had a tough time. Puck wasn't going in, things weren't going his way, but still, he was so dynamic, so clearly the most gifted American player. He could be going for a second Smythe here. And I'll tell you what, he could have won it last year. He was terrific in that series when they went out in last year's conference finals. He was, if they win that, I believe the 7th game went overtime, he could have won last year's Smythe.
Look, he's proven it before. He scored the overtime winner for their first cup. When the lights are on and when they're bright, this guy, he loves it. You know, there are certain guys that run away from it. He can't get enough of it. And he keeps proving it over and over again. There was a time a couple of years ago when I thought, you know what, this is about where he's going to be. This is what you're going to see. He keeps getting better, Sully. And he's also better defensively. I mean, he's playing both ends of the rink. He wasn't quite there earlier in his career. I don't know what he was being asked to do, but he was an offensive player. I look at him now as a complete player. I'll take it a step further. If he doesn't get hurt, he likely wins the Hart Trophy this year. Then he wins the Conn Smythe if these guys win it all. And, I mean, look, this kid is going to the Hall of Fame.
He's won the Hall of Fame. I think he's a lock. You say he just passed Gilbert Perreault. He's 26 years old.
Yeah.
And I did some numbers. It's amazing. He in the playoffs, his goal scoring goes up by 20%. In the playoffs, Gilbert Perreault went down 20. The numbers are exactly reversed. Not to knock on Gilbert Perreault, but he's the Hall of Famer, considered the greatest Sabre ever.
Yeah.
You can't touch Kane as a playoff player. It's also a different era. Imagine if Patrick Kane played back then.
No kidding. When they had more room and plenty of room to skate, it would have been ridiculous, the numbers he would have put up. Sully, what about the Clippers Rocket series?
I picked the Clippers. They won game 1. 3 of these series, the road team won game 1. And then
it's odd in the NBA.
The road team. The home team always settles in and win games too. The team that won on the road kind of lets up. And they don't have Chris Paul. It's amazing. I'll tell you, at halftime of game 2, I thought Blake Griffin might be the best player in the NBA. And then he had a weak second half, but watch that guy. He's been the MVP of the playoffs.
So what surprised you so far in the NBA? Just looking at it, anything at all? I mean, it's obviously even. It's about as even as it gets.
I'm not surprised that the Cavs struggling because we've been talking all year. I don't think their defense is good enough, and losing Love hurts them. I think the performance of the Hawks has been a little disappointing. No one expected them to play like the top seed, and they haven't. And it's a little surprising what happened to Golden State in Game 2. But that Memphis team, here's something to remember. Golden State was 21-2 early in the year on a 16-game winning streak, went into Memphis and lost.
I'm having a hard time.
Memphis is closer to Golden State than people think. They're a terrific defensive team.
I told you earlier, I'm having a hard time with that series in part because I'm just expecting it to be a blowout. So I'm concentrating on other things, and I better start paying attention. Plus the fact that it's on late, and I'm getting older, and I can't stay up, honestly.
So you record it like I do and watch it the next day.
There's no way that you know how to use a DVR.
I've learned how to do that.
There's no
You hit
chance.
that little orange button that says record, and it usually
You can
works.
handle that?
I can handle that.
Yeah, until you fill the thing, and then it has too many hours on it, then you'll have no idea how to delete what needs to be deleted.
I'm the same guy who didn't notice. This is serious.
You're the same guy who plugged a computer into a lamp.
You've already said. I didn't notice that thing that said notifications on the Twitter thing until last week.
All right, listen,
3 years.
We're going to take a break. I want to get your final thoughts on a subject when we come back, so stay with us. You stay with us too, I guess.